Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm so excited for this new mechanic. And that's because this new keyword is Nightfall. Bonus if this is not the first card you play in a round. This is basically combo from Hearthstone, and if you guys have been watching for a while, I actually used to play Hearthstone, and combo was my go-to strategy. I loved combo. It was by far the funnest strategy in Hearthstone, and I played Hearthstone for 3 years, and for all those 3 years, I played combo. So hopefully, I can have some of that in Legends as well. This mechanic is so exciting, and I cannot wait to see where this Nightfall mechanic goes. So basically, you're going to have to play some cheap cards that allow you to activate this Nightfall mechanic. In Legends, you had some zero cost deal. You had this card that said deal 2 damage to an undamaged unit for 0 mana. Well, that lets you activate the combo with while also getting some insane value. So I am super excited to see if we get anything like that. So first we have a Stygian Onlooker, a 1 cost 2/1 that says Nightfall, aka if bonus if so sorry, it's you get this effect if this is not the first card you've played. And it says give me +2 attack and fearsome this round. So this is a 1 mana 4/1. And if you are playing a card like Casket or Warning Shot, this is 5 damage turn 1. And there's no way to stop this except with Parlay. At least Parlay is the only card I think that can take this out turn 1. So basically an uncounterable source of damage because of the fearsome. I mean, unless they have like a turn 1 Warning Shot into Jagged Butchers. That's the only one I can think of, actually, but that does work. So, besides the Jagged Butcher and the Parlay, Jagged Butcher is being played quite a bit right now, but Parlay is not being played at all. This card can be an unblocked, uncounterable source of 5 damage turn 1. That is 1/4 of their life total, and that is pretty insane. If you have 2 of these turn 2, you can actually not use your Warning Shot, but save it until turn 2. You Warning Shot, you play 2 Stygian Onlookers. Your opponent probably doesn't have an answer at this point. Although that would be a pretty amazing make it rain for your opponent. But you could just get in 9 damage turn 2. That is half their life total. Seems like Bilgewater is the enemy of this. It seems like Bilgewater is the enemy of this Stygian card. But this is actually very strong. 9 damage turn 2, 5 damage turn 1. That's pretty powerful. And Shadow Isles has needed a push in aggro for a long time. I don't consider myself a pro at all, but if I had to pick a region I'm strong at, it's going to be Shadow Isles. And knowing Shadow Isles and knowing what we have so far for aggro, this card is a huge buff in that area. But the problem is, this card is great. I think this card has a lot of potential. Even if it can get killed pretty easily with the 1 attack. I mean, this reminds me a lot of Greenglade Duo. Just more, less explosive potential and more, reliable damage. But the problem is, Shadow Isles doesn't have enough ways to deal damage and really get that aggro in currently. Like, we have Caretaker, we have some insane keeper combos and Kalista, and spiders too will work pretty well. But even so, this Stygian card is going to struggle because Shadow Isles has no way to close out the game with aggro. We have no way to deal non-combat damage except with like a Neverglade Collector, which is very removable and very counterable. And that also means we have to save some of our aggressive pieces for the late game so that we can activate the Neverglade Collector. And I think that because of that, this card's going to struggle a little bit. So if we get some pieces and we just are able to finish the puzzle, a Shadow Isles aggro deck could be super strong. But right now, it's just not there yet. And of course, you have to make sure you can activate the Nightfall. So that's a little bit of a deck restriction on an already very tight aggro deck. Next, we have Doombeast, a 3 mana 3/2. It's basically a Dread Bloom Wanderer. It's the only other card with the stats. And it states Nightfall. This is a skill I just realized because of the circle right in front of Nightfall, and none of the other cards have that. But and that just means it's counterable by deny, but that's basically it. And it says drain 2 from the enemy Nexus. So you gain 2, and your opponent takes 2. This is a better Dreadbloom Wanderer in most matchups. Dreadbloom Wanderer can gain you a potential infinite life, and I'd say potential is, but the potential to gain you a lot of life because if it survives, it does that. This card, even if your opponent Mystic Shots it, is still going to get you at least 2 life, which makes it better than a Dreadbloom Wanderer in certain situations. The 2 damage also can matter if you're playing a burn strategy with like a Stygian Onlooker. Again, it's hard to get this Nightfall effect active unless you're playing this turn 4 in combo with a 1-cost card. 1-cost card. Which makes this card a whole lot worse. Like, I cannot express how much worse that makes it. A 4 mana, let's say 4-3, because you're going to play the 1-1. It's basically 4 mana, 4-3, discard a card, drain 2 from the enemy axis, you gain 2. Like, that is not awful, but it's still pretty bad. Like, you have to admit, it's hard to, warrant that card in your deck as a aggressive Shadow Isles deck. You don't really want to be playing this card in an aggressive Shadow Isles deck. This is definitely a control card. Which is why Dreadbloom Wanderer is actually just going to beat it every time. The fact that this has to have, you have to have cast another spell, means that this card is going to very much struggle with being viable over Dreadbloom Wanderer. Dreadbloom Wanderer is a turn 3 play. This has to be a turn 4 play, or a turn 3 discard a card play. That is kind of awful. Oh, and something I want to mention with Stygian Onlooker now that I thought about it. If you Fading Memories a Stygian Onlooker, so say in your hand turn 2, you have 2 Stygian Onlookers, or you have a Stygian Onlooker, or turn 3, you have 2 Stygian Onlookers and a Fading Memories, or 2 Fading Memories and a Stygian Onlooker and like a Warning Shot or something. That is a potential, 4, 8, 12, 13 damage. And don't get me wrong, elusives can do that much damage on a whim, much easier than this card. But the fact that this card has that potential also is very nice. The next card we have is Duskrider, a 5 mana 2/5 with Fearsome Nightfall. Grant me +1 attack for each time you've activated Nightfall this game. I assume this card counts itself in its Nightfall trigger, so it immediately gets 1 attack, so it's a 5 mana 3/5. And it can be a 4/5 at the very least. Probably a 5/5 if you build your deck around it. But then it's never going to get to a 6/5. And here's the thing. There is in Noxus a 6 mana 6/5 that doesn't require you to have cast another spell this round like Duskrider does, which is going to be super restrictive because it means you can't even play it until turn 6 unless you're going to cast a very bad spell. And the fact that you have to also play Nightfall cards that game, and Nightfall cards are super demanding, like, that is just a hard requirement to play. And the 6 mana 6/5 Fearsome Noxus card isn't even played. It doesn't finish games because Fearsome doesn't finish games. There's always going to be 3 drops in, well, maybe not in every matchup, but at least in every meta, there's going to be 3 drops, which means this card is unreliable in finishing out the game. You have better finishers. Now, Shadow Isles does struggle with finishers, and I think this is one of the reasons why. We just don't have enough good Overwhelm keywords or anything like that. We rely on Fearsome too much. Like, you have to play Nehuender just as a finisher for, like, Shadow Isles decks. Like, I mean, Neverglade Collector is okay, but it's not going to win games. Like, it does win games, but it's less reliable than a Nehuender. And this card is much worse than both of those, So this card just sucks, right? I don't see this card being played very often unless, like, the metagame is no 3 drops. Like, that's it. If they can chump block this out, you've wasted 5 mana. Like, you should be closing out the game, or at least attempting to, by turn 6, when you're going to have to play this card, and you have to have a 1-drop for that. If you already used your 1-drop on a Doom Beast, then, I mean, like, are you going to have the ability to play Duskrider for its Nightfall before turn 7? Like, that's kind of crazy. Now, if you have Spell Mana, that is different. Spell Mana makes this effect much stronger. Like, you can Vile Feast into a Doom Beast, which I think makes this mechanic work better than it does in Hearthstone. It means we don't have to rely so much on cards like Casket or Warning Shot, but it's still very hard to get both of those off in unison, right? And that just makes this keyword struggle, which I'm disappointed about. Don't get me wrong, right? But I think that's just the fact you have to face, the reality we have to live with. The next card we have is a 4-mana burst speed spell called Encroaching Shadows. It says, grant all allies in deck and in hand, +2/+2 and ephemeral. So this is a meme card, I can already tell. This is already a meme card, I can just tell. Like, tell me a situation where this card is going to be good. Like, an OTK deck that wants to kill your opponents in one turn? The only reliable deck that can do that is Elusives. Like, no other strategy can really pump out an OTK reliably with, when your units are going to be blocked, and then the ephemeral will you lose the game unless you have like a Harrowing, which still struggles because you have to have fearsome units and like a Frenzied Skitter or some crap like that. So this card is meme card for sure. I mean, Elusives can hit it unblocked most of the time, so you get the extra 2 damage. But when is a Rally not going to be better, right? Rally doubles the power of your units. So if you're playing Greenglade Duo, you want to be doubling the power of Greenglade Duo rather than just giving it +2 attack, right? Encroaching Shadows is just so much worse than a Relentless Pursuit. And Relentless Pursuit isn't nearly as all-in as this card. This card means if you don't get to win that turn, all your units die because of Ephemeral, you have no board and you die. Relentless Pursuit means your units, like if they kill your Greenglade Duo, you still have the rest of the Ephemeral units. You still, besides getting that damage, you still have good blockers. You don't die on the Crackback. So, Rally's always going to be better than this? I just think it has to be. Alright, next we have a 3-mana Passage Unearned. It's a fast speed spell that says obliterate all units that were summoned but not played this round. So we got Kinko, Wayfinder, we have the Harrowing, I guess Caretaker works with this because it summons 2 ephemeral dudes. Man, this card is so weird. Like, this has to be bad because it only works if your opponent's summoning things. If your opponent isn't summoning things, if they're playing just Ashe Sejuani that just literally plays things, this card is going to be a dead card, and you would rather have literally any other card that's at least playable. Like, that is... And in the situations where it hits, like in the Harrowing, you have... In Shadow Isles, you have the Ruination. Now, obviously, the Ruination is much more committal and expensive to counter a Ruination. You're probably going to need to use it before then. But would you play the Ruination or would you play Passage Unearned? The Ruination is better in every matchup except for that. In which case, you're going to increase your win condition, your win percentage or whatever, by a lot in those other games. You're going to win your other games because you had the Ruination, except for not this card. And you have the box too, which basically does what this card does. The Ruination could sometimes summon Kallistas and Cythrias. It can sometimes summon Cythrias and it can Kallistas, which don't die to this. But like the Ruination, they don't die to the Ruination, they don't die to the box. And that makes the box a little bit worse, but the box kills everything else, and you probably have chump blockers in Shadow Isles enough to survive. And then your opponent has nothing else to do. This card, although it's more of a safety net in that situation, it can save you in that situation. Those times are very few and far between. It means that this card is just going to be very unplayable. Anyway, guys, that was it for this video. I am kind of disappointed with Nightfall, but we're going to get a champion, hopefully with this keyword tomorrow. I cannot wait for that. I'm so excited. Be looking out for that video. I hope that we get some more Nightfall cards. Maybe some of these cards will make sense when we see that tomorrow. And anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.